Hi everyone, I'm Emerald Mosaic and I'm going to work on the last one, and then I have this one and this one that I need to put my initials on, and then this will be done. It has been kind of a long winter of the soul, in addition to being actually winter in my part of the world. And it's I don't know, it's just been really slow and introspective and taking time to remove things from my life that just things that I can't take with me in my future. And also working on doing a lot of healing and shifting old patterns and trying to figure out what's next. I can't say I have all the answers yet. But one thing that I just this past week finally came to some clarity on is about my painting. The fact that I haven't painted in a while, part of it is because my area is just cluttered. Let me show you. So, yeah, it's really cluttered. Now, this is a project that is ongoing. That this whole box that will be removed hopefully within a month or two. It's been a long-standing project, but yeah, this area is just cluttered. It feels small. It feels just, I don't know, like it's just not quite what I need at this point. And so I've been trying to brainstorm ways to make it less cluttered. But another thing that has been on my mind actually for at least a month. But the thing that really just came into clarity for me this past week has to do with the fact that when I started doing pour painting, it was so much fun. I did not know what I was doing. I had no idea of any prep or I just didn't know all the things. And that made it fun. It was an adventure. And that started this past July. And since then, I've learned a whole lot about how to thin your paints, how to add Floetrol, how to tape the back of the canvas so it doesn't get all messy, and how to string your paint so that there's not lumps in it. And all of a sudden it just felt like work. And I'm like, well, that just took the fun out of it. That totally just ruined the whole reason I was doing painting in the first place. Hi, little girl. You gonna come up? You gonna join us? Come on up. You can come up. We'll see if she does. Yep. There's my minx. Hi. You gonna check out everybody here? Yeah. You gonna let me see what I'm doing with my hands? Typical cat. Typical cat. Has to get right in the way, right in the view. Come on. Hey. Come over here. There you go. You gonna sit here? Hey. I can't hold you right now. Typical cat. Just sit here. Just wait, little girl. Oh my goodness. I was holding her earlier and I stood up and she wasn't happy, and now I sat down somewhere else and she's not happy. Anyway, I have decided that I'm not going to strain my paints. I might not even prep the back of my canvases. I have one that is already prepped, sitting here waiting for me to do something with it, and I might and I will. But as far as future canvases, I might not. If I feel like it, I will. If I just need to throw some paint on the canvas, I'm not going to bother. I'm just not going to worry about it. Whatever I feel up to doing, I will do. And whatever I don't feel like doing, I'm just not going to. I'm going to let go. I'm going to really, truly let go of the whole perfectionism. And because that's what it is. See, I am physically, even though sometimes I might not look it, I am physically disabled. And for many years I was emotionally disabled. I'm not entirely sure if that is still true, but I do know that at least physically, I my physical body is inconsistent, and so there's no way that I can do consistent videos, paint on a consistent basis. That's just not going to happen. That's not my life. That's okay. Also, I know that I do not have the ability to go back to school to learn all these new techniques and all of the things. Like, that's just not my life. That's not going to happen. This is a stubborn one. Since I started painting to have fun, then maybe I should just go back to that. Paint for the sake of having fun. Yeah, beauty comes out of it, but I mean, you got to think about what's the point, really. If the point is perfection, then making money, then you got to be a pro. You got to do the things. You got to learn the right way. You got to learn all the techniques and find what's unique for you and all that. But for me, that's so not the point. That is not why I started painting. That is not why I want to paint. Creating something beautiful, yeah, sure. But I'm going to have fun in the process. And if the fun gets removed by all the techniques that I'm supposed to learn, you know what? F that. I do not care. I actually just recently watched a video. This guy made but the video before this one, he said, was the best video he had ever made. Had great lighting, great technique, wonderful editing. It was like on top. And this video, he was standing in a hallway with very poor lighting and basically talked about letting go of perfectionism. Like, what is the real reason why you are doing what you're doing? Think about that. What is the real reason? Beyond money, because money is a tool. Money is something that we use to make our lives better, right? Now, yeah, you have to have a certain amount to make your life better. Or you have to figure out what you can do without. And I have learned in my life, having been homeless, that it's a whole lot less than you will actually think. A home, someplace that you can lay your head every night and you know that there's security in it, that it's not going to be taken from you. Food, of course, you got to eat in order to live. Healthy food is ideal, of course, but you make do with what you can until you can do better, right? Friends, people in your life that help you meet those needs. And also at the same time, you have to meet your own needs. I've been hearing so much about that and learning so much of how to do that in the last several years, but especially the last couple months. Comforting yourself, being your own best friend. That's so very important, and you don't need money for that. So, aside from money, why are you doing what you're doing? What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve truly? What are the values that you are trying to live your life by? These are the important questions here. And one of the things for me that is integral to my life is play. It really is. This might sound weird, but this to me is a form of play. This is so satisfying for me. I mean, yeah, it's kind of difficult, but it's repetitive, and my thoughts can just kind of go while my hands are busy doing a monotonous task. But also just having the paint peel off like this, that's so incredibly satisfying for me. Yay for autism, right? Beauty and drudgery. I don't know. I'm sure ADHD plays into that too. But yeah, so play is very important to me. Letting my inner child just have fun is so healthy for me. Honestly, I think some play is vital for everybody. I really do. Like once you get the very basics of, safety and security down, play is really truly important. I think that's where the friendship comes in as well, but you don't necessarily have to have other people to have fun. When you become your own best friend, you can learn how to have fun all by yourself. Now, introverts are admittedly much better at this than extroverts, I think, because introverts, we like our own company. We actually enjoy just chilling with me, myself, and I. You know, I think I'm an extroverted introvert. When I am with the right people and have the right amount of energy, then I absolutely love being in a crowd of people, and tapping into their energy and kind of having kind of an energy exchange with them. Not gonna lie, I have actually been in a mosh pit and had so much fun. I came out with a bleeding toenail, but it was worth it. It was so much fun. The energy in the mosh pit was just wild. Oh man, I that was quite a high. I was on an emotional high after that. Uh, my son's dad, I was married to him at the time, and he just was like, who on earth is this person? He had not seen that side of me before. Not quite that crazy, but it really is a lot of fun. And that's the thing. You got to figure out what is a safe risk you can take. I mean, it seems like contradictory terms there, safe risk, but it's like, what can I do that pushes me beyond those boundaries a bit, and yet is not risking everything, impulsively. You kind of have to weigh things carefully, look at what, you know, it's the difference between impulsivity and making a conscious choice to do something that's a little bit out there. Impulsivity doesn't even think about the risks. Risks? What are they? Hell, more risk, I'm there. In fact, there are people who take such completely insane risks that the whole underlying reason behind that level of impulsivity is a totally different ballgame. It's not healthy. But if you can find, a calculated risk, I mean, a mosh pit, it's not that big of a risk, but in a sense it is, because you're actually entering the energy of some high intensity, around other people. I mean, there's a little bit of danger. I got stepped on. I mean, I didn't fall, but I was wearing sandals. That's really not the thing to wear in a mosh pit. So, I came out with a bleeding toenail. But it's it was such freedom of expression to have this intense shared experience with people that I've never met before and probably will never see again. And that was like 16, 17, no, more like 20 years ago. Oh my God, I'm dating myself. I freely admit I'm 48. I have no problem with that. I am proud of the 48 years I've lived. But anyways, so yeah, thinking about why you're doing what you're doing is important. What do you really want to get out of life? What do you really want to do with your life? What kinds of values do you want your life to reflect? And then think about the way that you're doing what you're doing. Does the way you're going about it reflect your values? Because this is really important. If you say that you value something, but your life does not show it, if you're not living it, then how much are you actually valuing it? I've done, um, you know, I wouldn't say courses, but lessons on values and is your life reflecting your values? And it's kind of interesting how my values have changed over the years. I used to be hugely family oriented, and I made some life choices that conflicted with a lot of the religious values of my family. And in the act of making those choices, I demonstrated that I did not have the same values as my family members. Ironically, a lot of the spiritual values that go along with their particular religion, I actually do agree with those spiritual values. But the methods actually, to me, seemed very contradictory to the values. And so that's the thing. Like, if you say that you value love, for example, and I'm not talking romantic love, I'm talking like love for your fellow man. If you say that you value sharing love with other people, and yet you're in a religion that is extremely judgmental, you might want to rethink that. Because a lot of religions, the point of a lot of religions is our way is right and your way is wrong, and we are the only right way. Or to put it in terms that people on the internet might understand, we are the one true way. Anybody who has watched The Princess Bride and remembers how the priest goes, "Love, true love," and goes on and on. There are certain web forums where we're like, hey, there is no one true way. And I think really the same is true of religions. If the way you go about expressing your spiritual beliefs does not line up with the values of your spiritual beliefs, there's a problem. Now, most people are not introspective enough to even notice the disconnect. But I feel like I'm pretty sure that anybody who's watching my channel, who's actually watching these videos, is probably somebody who's introspective, because I don't. I'd like to throw down gauntlets, in case you hadn't noticed, just like I like to pick up a gauntlet that somebody throws down, especially if it has to do with mental health and challenging me to do better. And so I then in turn will throw those gauntlets down in front of other people and say, hey, you gonna pick that up? You gonna give it a try? You gonna challenge, your assumptions? You gonna check to see if your actions line up with your values? So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm throwing down a gauntlet in front of you. What do you think? Do you think you're ready to pick it up? Do you think you're up for the challenge? Because no doubt this is a challenge. This is hard work to actually look carefully at the things that you say you believe in and then check your actions. That is challenging. That is hard work. Let me tell you, it is worth it. It is truly worth it, because when you start actually living your life in alignment with your values, the sense of peace that brings is huge. It is massive. It's amazing just how much peace you can have when you start actually living out what you want your life to be. Like the values that you say that you want to live by. Now, let me give one little caveat. Everything in balance. Everything in balance. So, say for example, one of your values is honesty. That's one of mine. The thing about honesty is that you have to be careful. The honesty, if taken to an extreme, because anything can be taken to an extreme. So honesty, if taken to an extreme, means that you are oversharing. Now, a lot of people who are neurodivergent, of multiple different types, tend to overshare. Now, usually this is a defense mechanism. It's, if I'm going to have to explain myself to you anyway, let me just give you all the information up front before you ask for it. That's really what it was for me most of my life. I had to learn I don't owe people explanations all the time. Now, there are times when it is useful, helpful to give an explanation. But that's different from having an obligation to explain everything you do. You are not obligated. No matter what anybody else tells you, you are not obligated to explain yourself. Now, if you're a kid, and by this I mean under the age of 18, and you are still living with your parents and your parents are supporting you, that's a little bit different because you're not an adult yet. Once you become an adult, now, caveat with kids, you don't owe anybody but those you are under the authority of an explanation. So let me say that a little bit differently. Except for the people who have authority over you, you don't owe anybody else an explanation. Only those people. That's it. And honestly, that kind of applies to adults too. But only to an extent. Once you become an adult, the people that you owe explanations to gets really tiny. I'm talking IRS, if they audit you. You got to have an explanation for what you're doing with your money and paying taxes. Okay. Police, as far as obeying the law. In fact, really, it's not even police so much that you owe the explanation to. It's if you end up before a judge. You really need to explain yourself then. Although I do it with a lawyer. Teachers, very minimal. Very minimal. Only as related directly towards that particular class. And that's very limited anyway. You don't actually owe them an explanation. They might ask for one. But you have the right to say, I really don't want to explain that right now. No, by the way, is a complete answer. Once you become an adult, no is a complete answer. It's a complete sentence. It does not have to be followed by because. And this is still something I sometimes struggle with. But I think it's really important to learn where my responsibility begins and ends. So I'm trying to remember where I was going with that, or how I even got onto that. My brain. That's okay. I love it. So anyway, I mean, the whole reason I sat down to make this video was to talk to you about values. That's right. I was giving honesty as an example, and how, yeah, moderation, right. So live your values, but remember that there's got to be balance and moderation even inside those values. Don't take it to an extreme, because that extreme is unhealthy. So, if you are willing, take some time and reevaluate, what are your values? How are you living them? How can you live more closely aligned to your values? And if you'd like to share with me what some of those values are that you're thinking about, I'd love to hear it. I love to hear other people's perspectives, other people's takes on it. I learn so much by hearing from other people and sharing my thoughts and having them share their responses. It's a beautiful way to grow when we do it in connection with other people, and I would love to hear from you. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I am almost done. Very close. So I'm going to leave it at that, though. I hope you'll have a wonderful day and enjoy the beginning of spring that is almost upon us. And I will talk to you sometime soon.